Morning, Thursday, August 14th, 2025. I'm Larissa. This is my video diary. Oh my gosh. The time has come once again to drink from skulls. It's getting there. Hold on. Hold your horses. Yeah. So yesterday, I did me a card reading. It was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. It was very, very interesting card reading. Yeah. And I did some editing. And I did some more magazine distribution. I did some laundry. What else? Oh, I had made a conversation with somebody, and I now have some concerns, but not what I think people would expect me to be concerned about. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mm. Yeah. So, I know, take care of some shit today. And I have a suspicion that somebody very close to me is being manipulative and lying to me. Lies of omission. And I think it's going to come back to bite them in the ass, as it usually does. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. There's somebody very close to me who has told me in the past that they think that they are smarter than everyone, and they definitely think they're smarter than me, and that's fine. Like, I don't need to be the smartest. Like, that's not my deal here. But this person has they're very manipulative. They're very, very manipulative, and um think I don't know when they're lying to me, and I know that they are. And um yeah, after some things that have been said recently, I just don't have any more patience. I don't trust, and I'm never going to trust them again. So, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Never gonna trust them again. Mm. So last night for dinner, I made Japanese style food. So I got some sushi rice, and I steamed up some sushi rice in the rice cooker, and it was good, nice and sticky, the way it's supposed to be, lightly sweet. Not because I added any sugar or anything, but just because sushi rice is a little sweeter and a little more fragrant. in a different way, different kind of fragrance. It's not like basmati or whatever. Anyway, it's sushi rice, and then I had some miso soup, and um, then I braised some shiitake mushrooms and Japanese greens and tofu. I added ginger and burdock, and it was good. It was. It was good. I'll do that again. Mm, yeah. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. I haven't decided yet. Mm-mm. I don't know. I'll probably do those green beans and that field roast. I'll take that field roast out of the freezer when I go downstairs, and I'll prep the chafing dish or the Corningware. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Mm, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, watching all the stuff, all the well, whatever bullshit Google thinks that I need to see because like Google's super manipulative. Yeah, the company is. The company is manipulative, and they're bigoted. They are. They're very bigoted. They are. And they have been bigoted against me since my husband started working for the company, however many years ago now it's been. Right. So I don't believe that anything is random in any of my news feeds or anything, whether it's on YouTube or in Google or whatever. Um, yeah, and so the stuff that they've been showing me, it's like media is so you can't trust any of it, right? Like the best things to watch are when like world leaders are actually speaking, right? Um, and then having to use your life experience and deductive reasonings and intelligence to parse out what is true and what isn't true from media outlet sources then, right? Because it's all like got crazy spin on it. And you can see like there'll be headlines that are just so and so shocks so and so, you know, earth shattering. And it's just like, is it really? It's the baiting that you see in headlines and everything. It's just like it's so tiresome, right? Well, last night we listened to the most recent Scaramucci open book podcast where he's talking to um, an author um, about journalism, right? Like they were talking about journalism, and you know, journalism is not the same thing as what you're even being given in the news, right? Journalism and art are very similar in that um, in their purest form, right, which is important. They are um, not bought and purchased by the entertainment industry, right? Like most of what is being passed off as journalism or news is not actually it's entertainment, right? right? Just like any of the sports that are out there, they're not really sports. It's entertainment, right? If you really want to see people playing sports, you go out and see, you have to go out and find people who are not in any leagues, right? Because that's all bullshit. It's just entertainment. It's just entertainment. It's all bullshit. Oh, got a hole in my lip. Got a hole in my lip. Losing the tea. Spilling the tea. Oh yeah, no. So they were talking about journalism. And it was just, I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's like important. Journalism is important because journalism is about facts, right? And so what we have in most of what is passed off as journalism or news is actually editorial. And it's not that there isn't place for editorial, but the position or the um editor like not everybody is supposed to be giving editorial, right? You have to earn the ability to give editorial, right? And that a bit that award of being able to give editorial comes from, or is supposed to come from, an established long-term pattern of delivering accurate, unbiased fact, right? And it's like the same thing. It's very similar in with art. It's just that the facts are delivered in a different manner, right? So the piece that I did, Common Ground, this most recent piece I did this past spring, um, it is kind of a marriage of photojournalism and art, right? Because the photo essays are photojournalism purely in the catalog. That is the point. It is a photo. They're photo essays. They're photojournalistic essays, right? And the poetry that accompanies them are facts, right? They're facts that they are like the story that go with the photojournalistic essay. And then the installation is informed by those facts. So that's why, like, when in the catalog, in the appendix, it is supported. The appendix is heavily supported by the journalistic pieces that I have written um, in my magazine, right? Like, this is the art of journalism, or this is a piece of art that is informed by and built by journalism about journalism. And it's largely a comparison because, like, I've written before about how art as history keeper, and that like, it's not something when you're approaching art from that purest form where you're not trying to make something that's just sellable, something that's going to match your couch, somebody's couch, right? When your goal is to make art something that is transcendent and of human condition, and um, acts as record keeper, history keeper of human condition. It's like journalism, right? Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's why, like, for a long time, we're at a point in in history for art where um, photography is photography was not always considered art, no, for a long time, right? Because it was you would use this tool that would take a picture of something exactly like there's genre in other mediums called photorealism, right? Because even though the camera was like a filter, it was not the actual object itself. It was so accurately representational that any art that came into it had to then be dependent upon context and placement and utility of that object, the image itself, right? So now that photography, the craft of photography, right? Using those tools, using film, developing film, processing film, and the manipulation of that film, photography is now undeniably raised to the level of art, fine art, right? You can't argue that anymore. Because there used to be a large argument in art community about whether or not photography was art. Art and photography. No, photography, art, right? Like it's the same kind of thing like when you're talking about craft, and there's delineation for a lot of people between craft and fine craft, right? Craft with big C, craft with a little c, right? And coming from a metalsmithing educational background, we spent a lot of time talking about this. And there's the difference between different movements of art, and there's the arts and crafts movement, right? Which all art movements, um, they all have political ties, right? Mm. Now you cannot. Art is extremely political. Artists are not politicians, but art is extremely political, right? And you don't necessarily know in real time what the political implications are of the art or what movement you belong to. And movements generally aren't named until after they're over, right? Right. Art, when you're making art, you have to be in the here and now, right? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this series, it's multidisciplinary. I mean, the installation itself, utilizes photography and compositionally utilizes photography, right? Like these they're just printed images. They're not. I didn't take them on film or whatever. So the photographs are photojournalism in that I was documenting something, and then I was paying attention to compositional arrangement, right? So that's the very artistic part of it. And then those pieces, select pieces, have been chosen out of the photo essays to create the installation, right? It's a further paring down of the essay itself. So, like in the catalog, um, it's like all of the photos I took, right? I edited out like maybe a handful of photos from the entire thing. They're huge collections of photos, but I edited out a few that were just like, oh, I wasn't meaning to take a photo. That was like, oh, I hit the button, and that wasn't an image that I was intentionally taking, right? But any image that I intentionally took is in the photo essay, right? And then I chose out of those 5 images from each collection to inform or to be part of to create the installation, the final installation. So, you know, in addition to the concepts, ideas, and events that I'm commenting on directly in the piece, I am also with the piece commenting on the juxtaposition and eventual crossing, right, of the lines of art and photography. And I wrote an article a while back talking about the rule of thirds. I did a series of pieces about composition, right? And in one of them, I talk about the rule of thirds, and I used pieces of my photography to illustrate and demonstrate the rule of thirds and the importance of composition in a piece. And, my compositions are very intentional. When I take a photograph, my composition in frame is very intentional, and I don't like having to crop, right? Digitally. When I did darkroom work, cropping is like, that's a skill, kind of thing. It's truly a skill, but the less you have to crop, the better photographer you are, right? And that was the lesson in learning how to crop in the darkroom, was that, the better you are at being selective with your composition, seeing your composition and understanding what your composition is going to be within your viewfinder, right? The better photographer you are. Um, and those rules of composition are the same and are applicable both in photography and in other two-dimensional art forms, whether you're talking about drawing or painting or whatever. Um, so, these are all themes that are very much part of what this installation piece is. And, it's just like I'd really like to be able to share it with people, but it's just hard to do, right? It's hard to do. I have a museum style exhibition, or a museum style piece right here, installation, and I'm not a museum, right? Like, do I charge? Do I charge admission to come in and see the work? Hmm? It's yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of out, right? Anyway, anyway, anyway. Anthony Scaramucci, Mr. Scaramucci, I sent you a package, sir. I did. And I really, really hope to hear from you more than, you know, taking inspiration for commentary and direction of your show. Like, I'd like to talk to you. Right? Right? Hmm. So, anyway, anyway. I got things I need to do today. I got places I need to go. Yeah, I do. So, get up here shortly after finishing from my skull, and move forward. Oh, Mr. Zelensky. Oh, I do have so many concerns about so many things. And my heart really goes out to you and the country that you are leading. You know, I saw this morning the comments by Slovakia and Hungary both. And it's interesting because, like, I know what my experience is of the Slovak part of my family, right? And it is that we weren't good enough to be part of their family because they didn't like the Ukrainian side, right? Um, my great grandmother hated my grandmother. And that's something that I've only come to understand as an adult after, 25 years of marriage, and having an understanding of, how my mother-in-law hates me and always has. Um, and not because she's English, but because she's crazy, and she has some sort of problem. Like, it's not an ethnic thing. It is a religious thing. She feels morally superior, and always has, and has made no bones about it, and it's part of why I don't talk to her, because she converted to Islam, and she believes that she's better than me, and she believes that I'm supposed to be her slave. She believes that I am less than her. Like, she believes that, right? She told me, when I first got married, when we first got married, she told me that, um, she she thought this was going to be a selling point. That when she explained to me why she converted, she said, "Oh, once Dad explained to me about the people of the book and how the people of the book are supposed to serve us. They are here to be our servants. I knew I had to be Muslim because she knew she had to be served, right? Like it's for her that was, and she thought that was going to be a selling point for me. She thought that slavery was going to be a selling point for me, right? So that's not a British thing. I don't know. That's, you know, yeah. Anyway, I saw, Slovakia's, and my family has that. There's this, it's a deeply ingrained cultural belief that if something bad happens to you, that you deserve it, right? Yeah. And that is not accurate, right? That is not accurate. Bad things happen to good people, right? But their belief is that their deeply ingrained cultural belief in my family is that if bad things happen to you, it's because God is punishing you because you've been bad, right? That is what the cultural belief is. And so, like, that is what I heard coming out of, those weren't the words, but that is what I heard coming out of the Slovakian leadership. And the Hungarian leadership as well. So, like, my grandma Rose's mother, her citizenship before becoming American was Austro-Hungarian, right? But ethnically, they were Ukrainian, because when they settled, the church that her family helped to found in 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 Pennsylvania was a Ukrainian Orthodox church. So they were ethnically Ukrainian, right? Not ethnically Hungarian. Now, there were many Hungarians who did emigrate at the same time to that area, and where my family settled, and they worked in the mines, right? And so my great grandmother spoke a number of languages, not just, I mean, a number of languages, but her mother tongue was Mannish, and therein lies the truth of the matter, huh? Therein lies the truth of the matter, huh? So it's interesting. It's interesting, Um, it's amazing to me that any country with leadership of any country with sovereign borders, you know, if you're a country that kind of involves sovereign borders, would be able to say that somebody invading your borders was your fault. It's scapegoating. It's scapegoating. And it's what I'm saying. It's coming back to that self-preservation and that separation of, oh, something bad happened to you, so you must deserve it, right? It's God punishing you, right? And not wanting to be um, next. Because that's the other thing, like, that I recognize culturally in my family, is that, whoever is the scapegoat, right? Like nobody wants to be that person, right? And so if you don't go with the group on it, on whatever it is when somebody is being scapegoated, right? Then you're next, right? And that's cultural. That's cultural, and that's a hard place to be in, and it's a hard thing for other people outside, people who have not been brought up in or with that culture to understand, right? Like how for most Western culture, yeah, because we're talking about West and East here, because my mother's family came from Western European culture. Well, even that's a mixed bag, but that's where the family, yeah, it's a mixed bag, kind of sorta. But most people are like, oh, if something bad happens to your child, there's like, oh, that's terrible. I want to go out and stand up for that child. Whereas the Eastern the Eastern culture is is more prone to be like, oh, well, you deserve it. You must deserve it, right? And it's hard. It's a hard thing to reconcile, and it was always a challenge in my home growing up. Yeah. Mhm. So, I feel for you, and it has to be very difficult to lead a country in that position when you have a lot of mixed ethnicity among your population because of, people fucking and making babies, right?